Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Gabe. If you're new to my channel, basically make a lot of track content on my F80 M3 and on my GT3. But today's video is going to be a little different, obviously by the title of the video. Please don't mind Mixie. She's in the back here chilling. So this car used to be a SMG. I bought it with 86,000 miles on it. Currently it has 110. I don't really drive it too much. Yeah, I have put a decent amount of miles on it, but in the past year it's only been driven 4,000 miles. So pretty considerable cut down on how much I drive it now that I have the GT3 and the F80 back in my garage. This car used to be an SMG. It is SMG Dove Gray interior on Laguna Seca Blue. Let's see, what else? It's a sunroof car. It's on LMs right now. I have 2M velocity stacks, so I got those trumpets. It sounds amazing. And yeah, today we're just cruising the 1. And I thought I'd just discuss to you my thoughts and opinions on swapping to a manual. So real quick, the negatives of swapping to a manual, I really don't think there are any. I think the only thing that you could really consider a negative would be that the car is no longer a true to VIN car, you know. So it's obviously, if somebody worked the VIN on this or looked up the VIN, they'd find out that it's an SMG car with a manual 6-speed. But I think that's pretty much as far as it goes with the negatives, because with the manual 6-speed, pretty much you're gonna increase the value by swapping it. Nobody really wants an SMG unless for whatever reason they need an SMG. For instance, this car's owner, actually, the previous owner, was a handicapped gentleman who used hand controls. So couldn't use a clutch, couldn't use his legs, and he needed that SMG. So that's pretty much the only person who's really gonna want the SMG or need the SMG. Other than that, I mean, the 6-speed manual is just so much better. So much better. It's this is a car that I used to not like to drive. I used to only drive it because I really had to drive it. This was back when I only had my E36 and my 46. So driving the E36 that's complete track gutted and no power windows, no windows at all, was not ideal for driving to work. So I was driving this thing a lot. I ran into a couple issues with the SMG itself. The first issue I ever ran into was pretty sketch. I was sitting at a light and I went to give it gas and nothing was happening. The car was just revving, not moving. And I was like, what the hell? I looked down at the cluster and it's telling me I'm in 3rd gear. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. Why is it in 3rd? So I like clicked the paddle down to shift it back into 1st, but nothing's happening. And this was a very long road, very fast road. And I'm sitting there at this light, like, what the fuck do? I don't know what to do. There's a school bus out in the far distance, and I'm like wondering if they're going to be able to see if I'm, you know, actually stopped or not, or slow down fast enough. And sure enough, this school bus blows right by me on the shoulder of the road, of this long, fast road. And I was freaked the hell out at that point. But the way I was able to get it back into neutral to restart the car was basically put it in reverse, turn off the car, let it go to sleep, turn back on the power, and then put it into neutral like that. Really weird. And it happened actually quite often past 100,000 miles. So it was something I got used to dealing with. And it only happened on cold starts. But I didn't want to deal with that anymore. I also didn't want to deal with the SMG transmission. The car just did not seem very engaging at all. These cars aren't very fast compared to modern day cars and cars that are in my stable currently. So to have something with paddles on it was like, fuck man, I might as well be driving a Nissan Altima, because it's really not, like, the engagement's not there. It's not fun. I tried to make it more engaging with the velocity stacks, and that worked for a little bit, and then I just kind of got over that. But it still wasn't really doing it for me. So I put this car into storage with the plans on swapping it and doing everything I possibly could to it to make it something that a potential buyer would want, and seek top top dollar for. Even with 110,000 miles, I feel like Laguna Seca is still a color that's highly desirable to the right buyer. I came across Cav because he actually was the one that pointed me to this car, which was really crazy. I saw this car on Auto Trader, but couldn't find the seller's information. He forgot to list a number. I tried everywhere and looking everywhere to see if the ad was somewhere else. Couldn't find anything. No email address, nothing. But in the ad, he listed that he had the work done by Cav. And I was like, okay, who's this guy Cav? It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'll search his name on the internet and find him. Sure enough, that's what I did. Found him on some E46 forums. You know, he had this following or this reputation of being a really solid mechanic with this chassis. And so that's how I knew about him. I emailed him asking him, hey, do you know whose car this is? A handicapped fellow, E46 M3. You don't really see those too often. You don't really see Laguna Seca Blue too often. And then on top of that, you don't really see somebody who needs hand controls to drive. Sure enough, he emails me back and gives me the information. And hit up the guy, buy it a few days later. Fast forward to last month, and I'm emailing him, hey man, I'm ready to swap my car to a manual. Can you hook me up? He's like, yeah, actually, I just had somebody cancel on me. Can you get it in 3 days from now? And I was like, shit, man, 3 days, that's pretty fast. Considering how usually he's booked. He's booked like months out. So I took advantage of that, got the car in, got it swapped. And I'll show the details, the emails of the process that he gave me. Very detailed, awesome pictures. At the end of every day he worked on the car, he pretty much gave me some sort of update on what he was doing, what he replaced. I basically gave him the green light to basically replace everything that needed to be replaced while he was in there. So we got rear control arm bushings done, front control arm bushings done. The vanos I thought needed to be done, but actually the previous owner had already had it done, and Cav had records of it, his own personal records. So that was pretty dope. Didn't need a new flywheel. The flywheel was good. Didn't need a trans service. It had recently been serviced by him. So it was pretty nice to see that Cav had all these records of the car that I never had. And I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name right, Cav or Kev. I forget how you say it, but yeah, really nice to have all that information on hand, and very smooth process dealing with him. It was very fast as well. I dropped it off on a Sunday morning. I picked it up I think on the following weekend, but he had already been done with the car since Wednesday. So he was super fast to work on the car, super friendly, straightforward with everything, no surprises. You know, sends me the tab. Everything was just smooth, very smooth. Now after driving the car for a month, this car went from a car that I hated to drive to a car that I absolutely love with this manual transmission. It's just crazy how much it's just transformed now to such an enjoyable car. Once again, it's not very fast. It's, you know, it's got 330 horsepower at the crank, so about 300 to the wheels on average, 280 to 300 you'll see them dyno at. This car has a CSL tune with the trumpets. It uses basically the Alpha N tune, so it's making about 330 to the wheels, which is pretty nice. It's got pretty decent pickup, but like I said, it's not very fast. It's more of a momentum car, and I don't really treat it as something that's super fast. Like, I'm not out here hauling ass in a straight line, drag racing this car. That's not what it was for in the first place, and that's not what it's for now. It's just very nice to row gears, very smooth. Everything is OEM parts. Everything is brand new. Nothing is used, and yeah, it's just a pleasure to drive now. I'm gonna get on it a little bit here and give you guys the sound of these trumpets that I've shown you guys in the past. Let's see. open up, man. They really do roar. It's got a super sprint exhaust. If you've seen my videos in the past, I did an install video on it. Heel toe shifting is very nice. This car is just very smooth to drive. Gorgeous sound. Nick's is over here freaking out about it. But rev match, everything is OEM. He had to program out the cluster for the SMG because it tells you what gear you're in and all that, but he programmed all that out and now it looks just factory. It's awesome. Smooth transition. So back home now, and I just wanted to talk about, just close this video up real quick. Would I ever do this again to an E46 M3? I definitely would. I would highly recommend anybody who has an SMG to go ahead and make that switch. It just changes the whole experience of the car. I don't know how else to tell you other than now I understand the hype behind these and why people consider these to be one of the greatest sports cars of all time. This went from a car that I was planning on selling in a few months to a car that I can definitely see myself holding on to for a long time. So, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how much just adding the 6-speed manual has just changed this whole car for me. And yeah, it was such a good investment into the car as well. We know that with a manual 6-speed on the E46s, the prices are a lot higher on these cars. So, you know, you are getting that little bit of bonus as far as when you go to resell this car. At least you can sell it for a little more now that it's been swapped. But I hope I covered as much as I could or anything you guys had questions about. But if you have anything that I didn't cover, please drop it in the comment section below, and then I'll get back to it. So hope you guys have a good one. Take it easy. Peace.